Silent ambushes, decisive trigger pulls, every moment captured in thrilling detail. We've curated the most intense, heart-pounding scenes where every second feels like a taut bowstring. Do you have the courage to follow us into this relentless chase? Watch and feel each heartbeat echo through every frame. Today's journey begins in the vast plains of Beria, a wide open land that, despite its flat and open terrain, serves as the perfect hiding spot for wild boars and small animals nestled at the edge of the forest and among endless rice fields. Just after dawn, Garrett's team arrived at the site, fully equipped and accompanied by a pack of seasoned hunting dogs, ready to track any trace of prey. After settling into their ambush positions, 15 minutes passed in absolute silence. Suddenly, a rustling sound very close. Garrett immediately turned toward the noise. A massive wild boar, weighing around 180 kilograms, emerged unexpectedly. It seemed to sense something. Garrett didn't give it a chance to escape. A series of sharp trigger pulls echoed through the field. The boar collapsed onto the grass, marking the team's first victory of the day. Leaving Beria behind, we head toward the picturesque land of Tuscany. Any once peaceful vineyards now turned into shelters for wild beasts. Marcus's team was prepared, each member geared up and ready. They crossed a stream and began scanning for signs of movement. While examining footprints on the damp ground, a loud bark rang out from a distance. The dogs had caught a scent. Within a minute, a group of wild boars burst out, racing through the area like a blur. But Marcus was quicker. A few sharp, precise shots, the boar went down. In this hunt, hesitation has no place. Only the swift maintain the upper hand. Our next stop, Corsica, a rugged region of rocky terrain and thick, thorny underbrush. Even the most experienced marksmen find this terrain a challenge. But Liam, a seasoned hunter, showed no hesitation. He set out at first light, maneuvering through jagged rocks and dense brambles, silently tracking his prey. While following a narrow trail, a herd of wild boars suddenly burst from the bushes, foraging for food. Without pause, a gunshot rang out. The once silent forest turned electric. What would you do in that moment? Give chase or let them go? Liam chose to pursue. Another shot rang out. Each bullet seemed to trace the frantic footsteps of the fleeing boars. But the terrain offered them cover, and most vanished behind the steep, rocky slopes. Elsewhere, Kale's team had taken position, spread out across ambush points. We waited in silence, eyes fixed on the foliage, still as statues. A flicker of movement, a wild boar bolted from the thicket in a frantic dash. Kale locked on swiftly, target secured. At that moment, John, a veteran marksman, closed in from the opposite side, with one goal in mind: no escapees. Less than 15 minutes into the dense brush, he encountered a giant wild boar, nearly 220 kilograms, a storm. In a split second, a precise shot. The boar dropped right at his feet. A swift, cold finish.
Voila.
Less than 5 minutes later, from another bush, a loud bang shattered the quiet. At nearly 30 meters away, visibility was limited, but that didn't stop Ava, the only woman on the team. She pulled the trigger. A crisp shot pierced the air. The boar dropped into the dry grass clean, accurate, without hesitation. Thank you for sticking with us through this thrilling journey. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel to join us on more unforgettable hunts ahead. Wild boars' stubborn invaders with razor-sharp tusks and formidable strength can devastate entire crops in an instant. Not only are they aggressive, but also incredibly cunning, often slipping through narrow paths and ready to charge when cornered. This haunting presence lingers in the dreams of farmers, behind every cautious glance from wooden fences. It's time for us the hunters to act. So, how do we stop these wild beasts? Follow us on this intense and heart-pounding hunting expedition. In the early morning, with mist still draped over the treetops, we set off toward the foot of the mountain in our trusted vehicle. This time, we had a team of well-trained hunting dogs, our four-legged warriors, specialized in detecting and chasing down wild boars hiding in the dense forest. Upon arrival, we wasted no time and moved straight into the designated area. Just minutes later, barking echoed through the woods, snapping the air taut with tension. Our team rushed toward the source of the sound. Then, like a black flash through the brush, a massive boar burst out, frantically fleeing with guttural grunts. I didn't hesitate. I raised my rifle and pulled the trigger. With a single shot, the boar dropped. It had no chance of escape. Time passed in tense silence. Then once more, barking erupted from deep within the forest like a battle cry from the front lines. The dogs had likely caught another scent. I quietly aligned myself with the direction of the noise, carefully peering through the bushes. Suddenly, a dark figure darted out. Another boar. I quickly adjusted my sights, steadied my stance, and fired. With a thunderous blast, the beast collapsed, unable to take another step. We wasted no time and pressed onward toward the mountainside. Again, the fierce barking erupted from below the bushes.
Charged upward,
Moving
and
in
I didn't
formation,
hesitate
we
to
advanced
pull the
toward the commotion. Just then, another boar shot out unexpectedly. I fired without delay. A decisive shot halted it in an instant.
Took aim and pulled the trigger.
At the base of the mountain, another team was already in place, setting up a pincer maneuver. They surrounded a boar hiding nearby. Under immense pressure, it had no choice but to dash out like a lightning bolt. At that moment, Alex, a veteran hunter, swiftly raised his rifle and fired. The target was taken down immediately. We didn't have to wait long to find the next one. Another boar was being driven into the open by the dogs. I tracked its movement, calmly took aim, and fired. The gunshot echoed against the cliffs, a clean, unwavering finish. Suddenly, a teammate signaled one had escaped. We quickly used our phones to track the hunting dogs. The sound of pursuit echoed from the nearby forest. It was still on the move. I raised my rifle, took aim, and fired. On our way down the mountain, one of my dogs suddenly barked loudly, sensing a nearby target. Moments later, after a brief and intense chase, the boar was cornered right where I lay in ambush. One well-placed shot, and it was stopped cold. And so, once again, we had neatly handled a threat to the crops and the people. Today's hunt had come to a close, but the battle against these destructive creatures of the deep forest is far from over. As night falls over the fertile valleys of California, a silent yet brutal battle begins. This is no ordinary confrontation with a wild animal. This is a fight against a spreading biological disaster, the wild boar. These animals don't just devour crops, they churn up the soil, destroy irrigation systems worth millions of dollars, and turn lush green fields into battle-scarred wastelands overnight. The direct economic damage is estimated at up to $1.5 billion each year. Yet, that is not the most frightening part. The true danger lies within their bodies. Wild boars are mobile carriers of devastating diseases such as African swine fever and brucellosis, capable of wiping out entire herds of livestock. This can force the mass culling of millions of animals to prevent an epidemic, delivering a heavy blow to food security. Facing an enemy of such scale, the solutions people turn to must also be large-scale. At present, the most aggressive measure in use is aerial hunting by helicopter. However, this option is not open to everyone. In California, aerial hunting is tightly regulated under laws such as SB 856. Operations require a special permit from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, CDFW, usually granted only to government agencies or authorized contractors tasked with managing severe damage. For private landowners, hiring a helicopter for hunting is not an option. This is a government management tool, not a sport. The costs add up quickly, running into thousands of dollars per flight hour, not to mention the safety concerns. As a result, expansion plans for this method often remain only on paper or in limited trials. What once looked like salvation from above has instead become an expensive disappointment. And so, when the answer doesn't lie in firepower from the skies, it must be found on the ground. The turning point came when people shifted from direct confrontation to analyzing and exploiting the boar's own biological behavior. The goal was no longer to catch just a few, but to capture the entire herd. The first breakthrough technology was the mobile app-controlled corral trap. Imagine this, a camera streaming live video to your phone 24/7. You sit at home, watching as the herd enters the trap, and only when the last animal is inside do you press the button. The gate slams shut, and the whole group is contained. This was a giant leap forward, giving hunters total control and the ability to choose the perfect moment. But no matter how advanced, this system still relied on an old idea of falling gate. And wild boars, known for their cunning, can learn quickly. This gave rise to an even more sophisticated innovation, the net trap. Unlike traditional designs, the net system eliminates the intimidating concept of gates. Instead, it exploits herd instinct and natural curiosity. A soft mesh with a funnel-shaped entry allows the animals to walk in without fear. There's no clanging gate, no sudden crash. And so, they trap themselves. A foundational study from the University of Georgia showed that modern corral traps can achieve up to 88% effectiveness. But with net traps, the numbers are even more impressive. Field trials conducted by Auburn University and the USDA confirmed success rates as high as 96.7% in capturing entire groups. Best of all, the operator doesn't need to be on site or even watch the camera feed for hours. The technology does everything. The war against these billion-strong creatures demands that we use every tool available. From overwhelming power in the skies to subtle intelligence on the ground, each method plays its part in defending the land. So tell me, what do you think is the true key to victory? Cutting-edge technology, or a deeper understanding of the enemy's behavior? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Peace in Zimbabwe seems to have been disturbed by small but persistent noises. Troops of Chakma baboons are becoming bolder. From the farms in the southern Mazuba region to the suburbs of Bungo, they not only tear up crops and attack people, but also break into houses, causing significant losses.
Mark?
Locals estimate damage at up to 450,000 Su in 2025. A radio station in Mambairo lost 15,000 Su after baboons chewed through cables, and farms around Hani reported thousands of dollars in losses after pens were ransacked and poultry stolen. Conflict between people and baboons is growing more tense, especially during droughts when water and food are scarce. Many farmers are being pushed to the brink, while local hunters, driven by the need to earn a living, are forced to act to protect livelihoods. So how do you approach these intelligent animals? Experienced hunters typically study troop movement, tracking the routes baboons commonly take along the Save River or through garden plots near Betu. Identifying natural resting points where they stop to feed increases the chance of a safe approach. Thick brush around Nima or large boulders in the Mava pools are examples of ideal hideouts. They both block sight and give observers a place to wait. Choice of weapon and ammunition is not a trivial matter. In Zimbabwe, many prefer calibers such as the .23 Remington, .43 Winchester, or the 6.5mm Creedmoor for their accuracy and power enough to resolve the situation without excessive recoil. Semi-automatic rifles are useful when quick follow-up shots are needed, for example when baboons bolt suddenly. By contrast, bolt-action rifles work better in open areas such as near Lake Curry, where shots may be taken from long distances. Scopes must be carefully zeroed, and hunters should practice trigger control so each shot counts. Shooting position often determines the success of a hunt. Hunters look for a solid rest like a bipod or a flat rock in the cheru area to stabilize the rifle. When a baboon appears, the window for a shot often lasts only a few seconds. Firing from the flank or from behind usually optimizes effectiveness. After taking a shot, it is essential to hold position and observe troops may return or stop at a distance, creating an opportunity for a second shot. But don't let emotion override reason. The hunt isn't over even if the target is hit. A wounded baboon can be extremely dangerous. A single moment of inattention is enough for the hunter to become the victim. Therefore, watching the animal's reaction, confirming its condition and checking for bullet impacts are meant not just to assess the shot but, more importantly, to ensure the hunter's safety in future outings. Above all, this is a complex picture of the relationship between humans and wildlife where livelihoods, safety, and ecological responsibility intersect. Sustainable solutions will require more than a gun barrel. Yet in urgent circumstances, sober, skilled hunters remain part of the effort to reduce losses for the community. For many, this is simply a hunt. But for us, it is a mission. Wild boars are not ordinary prey, they are destructive forces, fierce and relentless. To confront them across these vast fields requires speed, precision, and firepower. That is why we are here, aboard this compact helicopter, carrying out the mission entrusted to us by the community. To protect the crops and safeguard peace for this land. Join us as we begin today's wild boar hunt, and don't forget to vote for the most impressive takedown. The team is fully equipped with protective gear, noise-canceling headsets, and weapons at the ready. As the helicopter lifts off toward the fog-covered fields, each of us feels our heartbeat in sync with the engine's roar. Dawn on the prairie is always the perfect moment to begin. When the first shadow of a wild boar emerges, everything moves like clockwork. The helicopter dips low, and my shots ring out sharp, decisive, precise. Each bullet brings an end to a colossal beast. The first trophy of the day, an unforgettable start. But the excitement doesn't last long. Fresh traces of destruction lead us straight to the western fields. As soon as we spot the herd, the team spreads out, executing the old diversion tactic.
What these guys have it in
The
the
guide's
front.
voice comes through the headset, priority target on the left. I lock in, squeeze the trigger. The beast bolts in desperation, trying to outrun us, but there's no escape. A flawless team effort. How many points would you give for this seamless coordination? From the helicopter's side door, Mark's sharp eyes catch a dark figure moving erratically. Immediately, the pilot dips lower.
If you get a shot on him, we'll go ahead.
Mark holds his breath, locks onto the target sprinting below. From hundreds of meters away, a single shot and it lands with astonishing precision.
Man, y'all had chunks of pig flying off of him.
And he still didn't go down.
He's on. Hold fire.
This is no luck. This is the skill of a seasoned marksman, honed through years of unforgiving training.
One lone pig. He thinks he's gonna get away.
By midday, the scorching heat forces the boars into dense thickets along steep hillsides. The helicopter no longer holds its advantage. We switch to ground tactics. Following the tracks, we corner a massive boar at the foot of a slope, no way out. Without hesitation, Ethan fires. The beast collapses, its strength gone, tumbling down like a puppet with cut strings. Meanwhile, on the other side of the hill, Sarah and her partner quietly take on another hidden target. With her trusted sniper rifle, she aims with flawless precision. One clean shot, leaving no chance of resistance. That is the style we always strive for, efficient, exact, and silent. A peaceful night for the villagers is the truest proof of these quiet efforts. As we prepare to pack up under the setting sun, a sudden herd emerges from the brush right before me. They thought silence would conceal them. My finger tightens on the trigger. A swift, clean shot shatters their illusion, closing the chapter on a day of intense but perfect hunting. From breathtaking aerial pursuits in the morning to tense ground ambushes in the afternoon, our team has fulfilled the mission completely. The truck is ready to carry us and the trophies home. Part of the yield will be shared with the farmers, those who have trusted and stood with us in this battle to defend the land. The footage, captured on camera, promises to leave many in awe. If you enjoy these moments, don't forget to like and subscribe. We will return stronger and sharper in the next hunt. Wild boars are no longer afraid of humans. They've become smarter, bolder, and more dangerous than ever before. Some have even started wandering into farmland near residential areas at night, scavenging for food. Our hunts aren't about trophies, they're about preventing things from spiraling out of control. And today's trip to Texas is no exception. We're stepping into another pursuit, one where skill, focus, and sheer courage will determine everything. As usual, we split into two teams. The scouting group leads with the hounds, tracking signs and locating the target. Meanwhile, the ambush team sets up at key choke points, ready to act the moment a boar steps into view. Roughly 15 minutes in, the ambush group receives the signal. Everyone moves into position. A small boar bursts out from a thick bush. Blake, stationed at the center, raises his rifle the moment of truth. The first shot cracks through the air. Taken by surprise, the boar drops immediately, never getting the chance to react. To expand our control over the area, we spread out, setting up at various vantage points. I chose a high blind, overlooking a tranquil stretch of dense forest. Below me, another wild boar appeared. It moved fast, but I had anticipated its path. I raised my rifle, steadied my breath, and pulled the trigger. The shot echoed through the woods, clean and precise. Within seconds, it was down. Earlier, the scouts had carefully surveyed the terrain and identified the boar's frequent trails. We established fixed ambush points and waited patiently. Wild boars don't see as sharply as deer, but their sensitivity to motion is uncanny. Staying still was absolutely critical. Sure enough, one approached just 6 meters away before it sensed something was wrong. But it was too late. Without hesitation, Blake fired from close range. The bullet hit its mark. The boar collapsed onto the dry leaves, motionless. After the morning ambush, the forest grew eerily silent. We couldn't hold our positions much longer, so we decided to push deeper into the brush prime territory for wild boars. Suddenly, a sharp rustle snapped to my right. Instinct kicked in. I swung my rifle, tracked the movement, and fired. "2 seconds, that's all it took. But it was enough to bring the animal down, right in the heart of its domain. The thrill of that moment was unlike anything else." With a new signal from the scouts, we regrouped at the pre-planned ambush zone. We fanned out, cutting off every possible escape route. Thanks to tight coordination and a flawless execution, the boar herd barely stood a chance. Within 15 minutes, several more were taken down. As daylight began to fade, the pressure only intensified. Suddenly, Blake spotted a group weaving through dense tree cover.
Go.
One boar broke away, trying to slip across a clearing unaware it had stepped into a kill zone. I stepped forward from the trail's edge, raised my rifle, and fired. It dropped instantly, the final act of a long, grueling day in the rugged wilds of the Texas Panhandle. If this story gripped you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next thrilling expedition. We'll be back with even more intense, deeper, and unexpected pursuits. Thanks for riding with us. Gunshots and the barking of hounds echoed through the forest, signaling an intense hunt in progress. We were deep in the dense woodlands of southwestern Germany, thick vegetation, the perfect habitat for wild boars to thrive and multiply. These hunts aren't for sport. Our only goal is to eliminate and control the wild boar population, a rapidly growing invasive species that's becoming more dangerous by the year. In Germany, becoming a hunter isn't as simple as grabbing a gun and heading into the forest. We must undergo at least a year of formal training studying law, ecology, hunting ethics, and even animal anatomy. Only after passing a rigorous exam and receiving a legal license can one officially join the ranks of German hunters. Each time we enter the woods, we stay on high alert. A single wrong step or an unexpected sound, and the boars may scatter or worse, fight back. That morning, we were in position early, hiding in elevated hunting blinds that offered a clear vantage point over the forest. It didn't take long. We heard hurried footsteps, then saw dark, bristly figures emerging through the trees. Our team quickly loaded our rifles. Gunfire ripped through the quiet morning air. Some dropped on the spot. Others fled in all directions. My heart remained steady, but I could feel my body heat rising, not sure if it was excitement or tension. European wild boars aren't like the ones from fairy tales. They're not slow or foolish. On the contrary, they're intelligent, highly organized, and extremely dangerous when cornered. That's why we always keep our distance and stay composed. Behind a tree, I spotted one boar scanning its surroundings. It looked tired but was clearly still alert. Slowly, I raised my rifle, keeping my breath steady. Even the smallest sound could ruin the entire ambush. I held my breath and pulled the trigger. A clean shot. The boar didn't even have time to react. Another appeared faster, more wary. It bolted, sensing the danger. But I didn't let the chance slip. One precise shot to the chest brought it down. This forest is full of boars. They breed quickly and have high survival rates. On any given hunt, we might take down dozens, sometimes even hundreds. Along a steep slope, I spotted yet another boar. I raised my gun, took careful aim. As I pulled the trigger, everything around me seemed to freeze. The boar staggered, then collapsed, tumbling down the hill. Clearly, we had entered one of their strongholds. They kept coming and we kept taking them down. I don't feel joy after each kill. But to protect the environment and the ecosystem here, we know it's something that must be done and will need to be done for a long time. As dusk settled over the forest, we gathered in a clearing to count our results. The wild boars lay motionless, massive, fierce, and powerful. None of it goes to waste. Each animal is carefully processed. The meat is marinated and smoked using traditional methods, rich, wild flavors that carry the scent of the forest. But for me, the greatest reward isn't the count. It's the lessons in survival, and the unspoken bond of teamwork forged in silence among the trees. Our journey has come to an end. If you have thoughts to share, leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to follow us on our next adventure. These wild creatures no longer hide like they used to. They've become bold, aggressive, and more defiant than ever. With razor-sharp tusks, they tear through farmlands, destroying crops that farmers have nurtured with sweat and toil. Deep in the forest, they vanish into the undergrowth, daring anyone brave enough to follow their trail. And so, when the destruction went too far, we hunters who never back down set out into the wild. In our world, even a moment of carelessness can come at a steep cost. Where will this hunt lead? If you have the courage, walk with us and face the wild boars lurking in the shadows. Fully armed and loaded, our group led by Marcus was ready to venture deeper into the woods. These cunning beasts never show themselves in predictable ways. But with hard-earned experience, we were prepared, even as the first rays of sunlight broke through the forest canopy. We began tracking their trail, scanning every bush and shadow to determine the herd's direction. Suddenly, a wild boar burst into view. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and adjusted to its movement. The shot rang out. The bullet struck true. The beast dropped instantly, never taking another step. We swiftly moved to another location where rustling had just been heard from the dense underbrush. As we arrived, another herd of boars came charging out in panic. I immediately took aim and fired. The bullet shot like lightning, hit its mark, and dropped them as they staggered. Following the trail deeper, we pushed forward. Then, out of nowhere, a massive boar charged straight at me. No time to think. I lifted my rifle, tracked its path, and waited. When it was just meters away, I pulled the trigger. The first shot hit its leg, causing it to stumble. But it kept trying to escape. I squeezed the trigger again, this time, a clean finish. The beast fell for good. From the direction of the swamp, the barking of our hounds echoed. I rushed toward the sound. The closer I got, the clearer the terrified squeals of another boar hiding in thick brush became. I gripped my rifle tightly, my heartbeat quickening. Behind the foliage, large silhouettes moved the rest of the herd. I didn't hesitate. I took aim and fired. Panic erupted. The herd scattered in all directions. I spun around and brought down another one with a sharp, decisive shot. Not wasting the opportunity, I fired 2 more rounds at the retreating shadows. But they missed. The targets had vanished too quickly. Suddenly, one more boar darted between the trees, charging wildly through the woods. I steadied myself, chambered around, and fired. The bullet hit clean. It dropped on the spot, never making it far. We pressed on, determined to finish off the remaining beasts. Before the sun could dip completely behind the trees, this hunt had to end, otherwise, the wild boars would resume their rampage. I spotted one sneaking ahead. Instinctively, I took cover, holding my rifle steady, eyes locked on the target.
J'hésite un peu trop et mon voisin saisit sa chance.
I waited for the perfect moment, then fired. The shot landed true. The boar collapsed instantly. This time, we claimed victory. Not just in numbers, but because we had protected the land, the crops, and the hope of farmers who had been pushed to the brink. But for hunters like us, the story never ends there. Somewhere in the deep woods, another rustle stirs. The hunt continues. Wild boars, with their razor-sharp tusks and terrifying strength, can bring down anything in their path. They are not only a threat to anyone daring enough to step into the forest but also a nightmare for farmers in Queensland, Australia, where months of hard work can be reduced to nothing overnight. Today, join me on this extraordinary journey, where every heart-pounding moment unfolds right before your eyes. As dawn broke, after a strategic discussion, our team headed into the vast sugarcane fields. I was fully aware that the cunning boars were lurking somewhere, waiting for the perfect moment to charge out. The air along the red dirt path suddenly turned still, as if clearing the way for the dramatic battle ahead. Gripping my rifle tightly, my eyes locked onto a patch of dry grass, the very trail the beasts often used. Within seconds, as their dark figures emerged, my finger instinctively pulled the trigger. The sharp crack of the gunshot shattered the silence, and several shadows dropped before they even had a chance to react. Not far away, David was tracking the fresh signs left behind, carefully weaving his way into the thick sugarcane on his side. The dense, tangled terrain was the perfect cover for the wild beasts. Just as he caught sight of a fleeting figure, he seized the chance and fired. Yet, the boars reacted with incredible speed, slipping deeper into the fields. The opportunity was gone, and David's face betrayed a hint of regret. By now, the sun was blazing high, scorching the fields. Amid the relentless barking of the hounds, I pushed my way through the dense brush with the butt of my rifle. Suddenly, a fierce wild boar appeared right in front of me. Raising my gun, I fired in response to the dog's efforts, landing several decisive shots. The rush of triumph was undeniable, a testament to the unspoken bond between man and his loyal companions. Though we had already scored some victories that morning, the group knew we had to change tactics to truly stop these destroyers. We decided to command the skies. From the helicopter, every hiding place would be exposed. The hunt from above officially went into red alert. A few lone boars darted straight ahead. Oliver signaled the pilot to dip lower with precision. The roar of the engine blended with the rattle of gunfire, and with pinpoint shots, he brought them down before they could escape. What score would you give that lightning-fast finish? I asked with a grin.
Come on, O'Keefe.
Meanwhile, Jack found himself face to face with massive wild boars on the open green field. They were not only powerful but incredibly swift, charging at full speed. Hitting such moving targets would be nearly impossible for an amateur, but Jack was no novice. Years of relentless training paid off as each of his bullets struck home with unerring accuracy. As the afternoon sun stretched across the fields, it offered both a clear view and a harsher test for the chase. Every boar turned into a moving target, demanding split-second decisions. Working in unison, we locked in on our sights and gradually brought them down. A few from the herd fell, leaving behind undeniable evidence of our determination. This was not just the outcome of a hunt, it was proof of our mission to safeguard the crops, protect livelihoods, and preserve the peace of this land. Can you imagine that in just one night, the fields and crops were left in ruins? And the culprits were none other than wild boars. To protect the peace of the village, a team of seasoned hunters set out on a noble mission, to push back the threat of these destructive creatures. For today's hunt, they prepared carefully, powerful rifles, high-tech binoculars, and even silencers to conceal their position. All for the safety and peace of the village. Witness the breathtaking moments and unexpected twists of this journey. Will they succeed? Stay tuned to find out. Harris's team began their march toward the fields, the first destination of the day. They quickly spread out, each man taking his assigned position. About 10 minutes later, from the east, Alan spotted a herd of wild boars. Raising his rifle, he locked onto the largest one in the group. A thunderous shot rang out. Several boars were hit and fell. The rest scattered in panic, vanishing into the brush. Not missing the chance, Victor aimed at a few stragglers left behind. Sharp cracks of gunfire tore through the silence, and one by one the beasts collapsed. These first victories fueled the team's determination. On the other side, Alan kept his eyes fixed on a patch of grass showing signs of movement. At a checkpoint, Simon moved cautiously, holding his breath as he crouched low. Suddenly, a massive shadow burst forth, racing toward the field. Without hesitation, Simon squeezed the trigger. The shot echoed, and though the boar staggered forward a short distance, it soon collapsed. Luckily, it hadn't caused any further harm. Moments later, the distant barking of hounds signaled a new target. Simon and his comrades quickly repositioned. From afar, a large boar dashed across the edge of the field. With the swiftness of a seasoned marksman, Simon aimed and fired. The bullet struck clean. The beast dropped lifeless onto the cold earth, unable to react. The threat was neutralized before it could do any damage. This was no game. It was a sacred duty, to protect the livelihood and safety of the people. After a short rest to recover, the team advanced westward, toward a barren field, a perfect hiding place for the boars. From a distance, the hounds barked again, their cries echoing through the wilderness. Sure enough, a herd emerged across the open land. Harris pulled the trigger without hesitation. The beasts dropped right before him, some only a meter away. It was a face-to-face clash, as tense as it was breathless. What do you think of this moment? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. A little later, the dogs barked once more along a forest path. Simon and his team rushed ahead, rifles raised. A boar appeared, its heavy body trudging forward. Simon didn't hesitate, he pulled the trigger. The rifle roared, and the beast collapsed, ending yet another threat. The flawless coordination between the hounds and the hunters' precise shots built a solid defense, ensuring the crops would be safe this season.
Abraço aí, curte, compartilha.
So, what do you think of this thrilling hunt? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us in bringing you even more unexpected and exciting stories. See you in the next adventure. In just 7 short days, the wild boar herds had swept down, shamelessly ravaging the land in broad daylight. Moving in packs, their numbers grew larger with each passing day, leaving farmers too frightened to plant any new crops. Now, Marcus and his hunting team decided to set an ambush, taking advantage of the terrain and the creature's habits to gain the upper hand. But this was no ordinary hunt. It was a battle to reclaim their land. Would their strategy be enough to stop the destruction? The answer lay right ahead. As dawn broke, the team silently advanced onto the fields where chaos had clearly left its scars. The hounds were released, sprinting swiftly as their barking echoed across the air. Marcus and his men tightened their grips on their rifles, ready for the unforgiving clash. Suddenly, a massive herd of wild boars emerged, slowly foraging for food. Without hesitation, the first shots rang out swift, sharp, and precise. The beasts were taken down instantly, a seamless display of teamwork and hard-earned experience. The deeper they went, the more Marcus's eyes scanned the surroundings. Soon another herd appeared, completely unaware they had already fallen into the crosshairs. Marcus steadied himself, took the perfect aim, and pulled the trigger. Gunfire cracked through the silence, each shot bringing down a target. Every decisive strike cut off yet another threat to the fields. On the western edge, other herds wandered in search of food. But today, luck was not on their side. Adrian and his men were already waiting. Bursts of gunfire rattled through the dusk, each bullet finding its mark. Within moments, several boars were down, and the farmland stood protected once again. As dusk descended and darkness wrapped around the fields, the true hunt began. At exactly 7 p.m., Marcus's team took position. Night vision scopes lit up the landscape, revealing every detail. Right before them, a herd of boars feasted carelessly, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. Marcus locked onto his target, finger tightening on the trigger. The opening shot shattered the stillness, and the herd panicked, scattering wildly, leaving one of their own behind. Venturing deeper into the heart of the area, the hunters moved cautiously. Suddenly, a rustling broke the silence, putting Marcus on high alert. He swung his flashlight toward the sound, and there it was. Without delay, a single bullet struck true, stopping the creature in its tracks. Before Marcus could catch his breath, a signal flared from the east. More targets. The team moved swiftly, coordinating their positions. Through the night vision lens, not just one, but an entire pack of wild boars appeared, ready to tear apart the field. This time, everything was within their control. A thunderous volley of gunfire erupted, tearing through the night. In just moments, the rampaging herd was stopped cold. A great threat ended just in time, restoring peace to the land that had long suffered devastation.
2, 1.
So, what do you think of this thrilling hunt? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to keep us motivated in bringing you more unexpected and exciting hunting stories. See you again in the next adventure. Deep in the Ocala forest, the echoing roars of wild beasts resounded like a challenge. They rampaged through the farmlands, tearing up the soil and destroying crops before vanishing into their hidden lairs. Against such force, farmers could only stand helpless. But the hunters were ready to step in, determined to protect every inch of land from those sharp tusks. In this battle, who would claim the upper hand? The hunting team, Marksmen United, had gathered early. Their truck thundered down the road leading into the forest. Soon, the area was tightly encircled, leaving no escape. Every step was deliberate, scanning each bush with caution. It didn't take long before a massive boar appeared. Without warning, it charged straight at Ethan. A gunshot cracked through the air, dropping the beast just a few meters away. A perfect start to the hunt. But Ethan didn't stop. He pressed deeper into the woods, eyes sharp, sweeping across every gap. 10 minutes passed, his body still, senses locked in. Then, from the brush, 2 more hogs emerged. Without hesitation, he raised his rifle. A cold shot rang out. One of the beasts slid down, lifeless among the trees. Before he could lower his gun, a strange sound drew his attention. Through the scope, he caught sight of 3 shadows weaving silently between the trees. In a split second, the rifle roared again, and each of the hogs fell to the ground. Every movement precise, seamless, was like a perfect blend of patience and speed. Meanwhile, from another vantage point, Ryan the team sniper was scanning with a state-of-the-art scope. Through his lens, the world appeared crystal clear, as if only steps away, though the real distance stretched hundreds of meters. On the opposite ridge, familiar shapes stirred. Ryan adjusted, each action swift and exact. In a blink, his rifle cracked, another flawless victory etched into the hunt. Not long after, from his new cover, Ethan faced yet another boar charging straight toward him. He steadied his aim and squeezed the trigger. The sharp report echoed, and the beast collapsed instantly. Another threat eliminated. A faint smile crept onto his lips. Yet before he could take another step, another shadow darted into view. The boars here were cunning. They rarely ran straight, instead weaving, plunging into the brush to evade a hunter's aim. But for a seasoned marksman like Ethan, it was no obstacle. One shot was all it took. The beast dropped the moment it broke cover. Elsewhere in the forest, Noah the quiet observer was keeping watch. Suddenly, a wild hog burst across his path. The thought of ruined sweet potato fields flashed in his mind, fueling his resolve. He tightened his grip, adjusted his sight, and pulled the trigger. The rifle thundered, and the boar crashed down, its arrogant foraging cut short. That final shot marked the close of today's hunt. The number of hogs taken down was enough to spare the fields for now. Yet we all knew this was not the end. With their explosive breeding rate, the battle between hunters and wild hogs was far from over. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next thrilling hunt. Our destination this time was a vast swamp. Many might ask, why choose such a treacherous place? The reason is simple: the swamp provides abundant food sources, making it a paradise for wild hogs. The harsh terrain discourages many hunters, and that very hesitation has allowed these animals to thrive, becoming a major threat to nearby farmlands. The motorboat roared, cutting swiftly through the murky water. On board, the group was tense and fully focused. Our target today was a feral hog sounder notorious for raiding farms and destroying crops time and again. After a while of searching, the engine's noise startled the herd. They panicked and bolted. Immediately, the boat surged forward, chasing their fleeing shadows. Gunfire erupted. One hog was hit but kept running, forcing us to fire several more shots before it collapsed into the muddy water. The rest scattered at breakneck speed, disappearing into the dense brush. We patiently followed their trail. Once the targets came into sight, gunfire echoed relentlessly, sending the hogs fleeing in terror. Bursting out of the undergrowth, they scattered in all directions. The trap was closing in, leaving them no escape. A series of shots rang out. One mature hog was struck, let out a cry, and fell to the ground. Farther ahead, another group of hogs was still busy foraging, unaware they had walked straight into an ambush. Wasting no time, we raised our rifles and took aim. In just a moment, 2 hogs had fallen. We pressed deeper into the swamp, this time opting for a different tactic, trapping rather than chasing. At a chosen site, we quickly set up a strong net trap and spread around the bait that hogs love most. The atmosphere grew tense. Everyone kept silent, the stillness broken only by the chirping of insects echoing across the swamp. After a long wait, familiar dark shapes emerged, drawn in by the irresistible scent of food. Step by step, they moved closer. And then, in an instant, the trap snapped shut. The entire herd was caught in the steel mesh. This ambush yielded a massive catch, all without the exhausting high-speed chases of before. Meanwhile, in another vast forest, a different hunting team was in hot pursuit of a herd of mature hogs on the run. Each gunshot dropped another target. Yet, the hunt was far from over. While keeping watch, Ethan suddenly spotted a hog hiding in the brush. Sensing danger, it burst out, charging like a bolt of lightning. Without hesitation, he fired a single shot, ending its escape instantly. The forest erupted into chaos, making the pursuit even harder. Just minutes later, a massive hog weighing nearly 150 kilograms appeared in the sights. Seizing the opportunity, Jake pulled the trigger without a second thought. One clean shot, and the beast went down. We continued roaming the vast, mysterious swamp. Every sense was on high alert, straining to catch the faintest sound, ready to fire at any moment. By the end of the long day, the tally was impressive. Many hogs had been taken down, most of them full-grown adults weighing hundreds of pounds. It was truly a hunt full of challenges, but the results exceeded all expectations. Fruits are a familiar part of every family meal, yet few of us ever imagine the long journey they take before reaching our table. Behind each harvest, every ton of fruit carries with it the sweat, effort, and hard-earned farming skills of countless workers. In today's journey, we'll step into the world of farmers and discover how they bring in some of the most widely produced fruits on the planet. In the United States, apple orchards come alive from late August through early November, just as the cool air sets in. Each apple is picked by hand, gently twisted to keep the stem intact and prevent bruising. Farmers carry picking bags on their chests, emptying them into large bins once they're full. Every year, the U.S. produces about 11 billion pounds of apples, with Washington state accounting for over 60% of the total, followed by New York, Michigan, and California. When it comes to irresistible, juicy fruits, plums are at the top of the list. Because they bruise so easily, farmers usually pick them early in the morning while the air is still cool. In Spain, plum season runs from June through late August, with most of the harvest done by hand. Once the skin turns deep red or golden yellow, smooth and slightly soft, the fruit is gently twisted off and placed into padded crates. Each year, Spain's plum industry generates around $360 million, with exports making up more than $250 million of that total. Talking about honey means talking about a harvest that takes both skill and patience. Beekeepers often use a thin stream of smoke or a fan to move the bees away, then carefully lift the heavy wooden frames from the hive. These frames are placed in a centrifuge, where the spinning force draws out the golden honey. Which is then filtered and packed. In 2023 alone, the United States produced about 125 million pounds of honey, a number that reflects the enduring strength of beekeeping in the country. Indonesia has long been known as the Kingdom of Coconuts, harvesting over 38 billion pounds each year, the highest in the world. The main growing regions stretch from Lampung and Java to Sulawesi, where the humid tropical climate and sandy coastal soils provide ideal conditions year-round. Most coconuts are still harvested by hand. Farmers tie ropes around their waists and feet, swiftly climb trees towering 25 to 50 feet tall, and skillfully cut down each cluster. Beyond strong demand in China, the U.S.,